This
Oh,
is me getting
boy.
beautiful at night, guys. I
All right.
can't get out of bed as a hot ass teacher without doing all this. Okay,
All right. All right.
this is a
Yeah.
process.
Is that a Star Wars medicine bag? What is
It's a
that?
Star Wars bear.
Star Wars.
It's a Build-A-Bear. I got it at a resale shop for $2.
Wow, so you didn't even build that bear.
No. So I took some kid's dream away. Yes, completely.
So, Eman, is it possible
Yeah.
that you're embarrassed to be on this stream right now?
Oh, it's not possible. It's a reality. Yeah. It's happening.
Mission accomplished, fellas.
It's happening. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. But now
Yep.
I'm in my tasteful PJs, penguins and snowflakes, I think, and a bathrobe.
Yeah. I have Chicago Bears Union Jack with the full footy. If I don't know if this is visible or not. Good call.
boy.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's a sexy dish, let me tell you.
Yeah, I got my spatula out. I'm eating it up.
Right.
I'm here in Prepper headquarters. I've got
Look at
toilet
that.
paper. I'm sitting on like $75,000 worth of merchandise right now.
Yes,
You clearly don't have enough.
No. Well,
No.
this is just the set. Okay, the
Okay.
actual stash is in the other room over there.
Good.
So
I was getting worried.
hey, look, if the shit hits the fan, seriously, you guys can always come to my house, and I will gladly turn you away.
Nice.
Right.
All right, so we are here to talk about, in addition to the Corona apocalypse. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I forgot my my thematically appropriate beverage. Corona Extra.
Perfect. Because
Yes.
you know what we need right now? We need extra Corona.
Yes.
I'm really disappointed that this pandemic has not lowered the price of that beer yet. Let me tell you, should be on clearance rack store shelves right now.
Just wait till they rebrand it with the Corona 19 pack.
Hey, now we're talking.
Yes, but we're hunkered down in our respective places where we like to watch movies, so because a lot of people have at least more time at home, not necessarily free time, because a lot of people are working from home. There is ostensibly more time to watch streaming content because all the movie theaters are shutting down. The new releases are being wiped off the slate. So we're kind of here to talk about some recommendations. What has been getting us through these trying times? And by that, I mean the last 4 days. Now, Eman, you posted a really great video, I think a couple of days ago, on Eman's Movie Reviews on YouTube. Go check it out. I'll have a link in the description. Talking about some of your recommendations, and we're going to cross over at least one here, because I watched the new Mark Wahlberg joint, Spencer Confidential, but you had some really good, solid recommendations there. Some things that I've seen and some things that I had forgotten about. I'm like, oh, this is the perfect time to start binging. Like Black Mirror, for example.
Oh my gosh! Please. Okay, let's just kick it off with Black Mirror then, because
all right.
That right there, I mean, as a techie, I work in IT, so it is a dream come true. If you just are remotely familiar with technology, Black Mirror is an absolute must-watch. It is essentially the Twilight Zone meets the 21st century, and what I love about it is it takes one aspect of technology, just whether it's social media, whether it's, I don't know, a dating app, whatever, and it just gives you the worst case scenario. And it'll infuse things like human psychology, politics, or just human nature in general, and just expose the dark what ifs of these situations. And because it's structured in an anthology type of style, every episode is completely different, completely, a new vision. Usually they have new directors. I believe there was one by Jodie Foster that was extremely fun. It's the black and white one. You'll know it when you see it. And for those of you who are lucky enough to binge on it now, instead of going season by season like the rest of us, you have the unique perspective of seeing the connective tissue in this loosely connected universe. You know, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, wait, is this connected? Well, it's kind of connected. You know, it's kind of an alternate universe in each episode, but you get to see the connective fabric in each one. And it's definitely a treat for just anyone who just loves a good Twilight-ish, Twilight Zone-ish type of show. Yeah, I don't want to get the Twilights mixed up.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to push back just a little bit based on my own limited experience with it, because I've seen 2 episodes of Black Mirror, both of which were phenomenal.
Okay.
But I made the mistake of watching it with my wife because I had heard all the hype and like, oh, everyone's talking about this, the new Twilight Zone. I've heard no negative things about it. So like, okay, let's see what this is about. The first episode of season 1 is the one where the prime minister gets blackmailed into having sex with the pig.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Look, that was also the first episode I watched with my wife, and she has since given up on the show.
See, that's the boat I'm in. It's hard to get us behind. Oh, well, it's hard for us to coordinate on like, we can watch this show together. Now, we did watch, I think it was last year, we watched the, I don't remember the name of it, but it's the episode with Mackenzie Davis and I'm totally blanking on her name. Gugu Magatha Raw. It's about the kind of the senior citizen kind of virtual reality situation, which is the polar opposite of the pig episode. It's a lovely, love story set in a sci-fi kind of setting. But so I would love to be able to watch all of these episodes, but I'd be watching them alone. And
you know what? I should totally help you out and go through them again and be like, okay, this one's wife appropriate, this one's not. Watch this one with, because there's one of them that my wife and I watched. There was one with Anthony Mackie. That's the more recent one. It's out there. It's the video game one. It's very interesting, but it has enough relatability for someone to just walk off the street and be like, this is different, And then there's another one in the earlier seasons. I have to find out. I have to get it for you. But yeah, there are a couple in there that are user-friendly. They're more user-friendly than the far out ones. The Letitia Wright one is phenomenal. Usually the ones at the very end of the season are pretty good. And then there's also one that's not in the current Netflix collection. It's a completely separate one. It's the Bandersnatch one, I believe it's called. That's the Choose Your Own Adventure one. So that one is a completely different Black Mirror episode in itself, because it has like 15 different endings to it and all these twists and turns. So you would have to kind of commit maybe 3 to 4 hours in terms of really navigating that, in terms of how far you want to go with it.
Wow.
So, yeah. But Black Mirror, 100% check it out.
All right, man. I'll have to do that.
There, yeah.
I'm gonna rope you into sending me a list of spouse approved episodes.
I'm with you. I got you.
That's a good call.
All right, so Don.
Yes.
I hate to catch you right before bed. I mean, you've got your night mask on and everything.
I do. It takes a lot to look this good. No, suggestion wise, I'm in a different boat where I can't watch the hard stuff like that. I have 2 kids at home who are obviously getting the remote learning and all that good stuff like that. So we try to take our little breaks to watch different cute things on the side, and we've been digging into Disney Plus. And during the day with the kids, we've been watching Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers from back in the 90s. That's been a pleasant one. My kids are into that. They're starting to sing the theme song everywhere and all that. So we're bouncing around and imitating Monterey Jack and all those cute things like that. And that's as far as we got. I don't want to hit them with too many shows at one time, because I know you can totally segue from there to Tailspin and Darkwing Duck and even just DuckTales, but we're just taking one at a time with Chip 'n Dale. So both of my kids have determined which one of the characters they are, which is really cute from there. But so I have to keep it cute during the daytime. No Black Mirror or hard stuff for me. When the kids do go to bed, if we do the feature-length movies that we've been having fun with lately, we've been doing a lot of the Disney classic live-action ones. We've done like the Absent-Minded Professor. From there, we kind of segued and said, "Oh, let's go watch Flubber with Robin Williams." We really enjoyed that. I tried to get them to watch. Oh no, they loved. We loved Herbie the Love Bug, the old one back in the day with. Oh gosh, who's the voice of Scuttle from Little Mermaid and the silly guy? Oh, Buddy Hackett. So we watched that one.
Oh, okay.
That was really good. And so we've enjoyed that. For myself, in terms of like trying to, put some content on the website, I've been kind of circling. I watched, but I haven't finished my review yet for Timmy Failure. Mistakes Were Made, a current new Disney Plus release that came out in February. That's from the director of Spotlight, of all people, making a kids movie. It's about this based on a book, I guess, a book series. It's kind of a quirky teen kid who's like a junior detective in his Seattle, very Portlandia kind of neighborhood where he's kind of the quirky kid. It's Winslow Fegley. He's the little brother of Oaks Fegley from Pete's Dragon and different films like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just answers. He's very like greetings, fellow humans, and affirmative and negative, and the way he talks and has fun. And he's obviously a single mom kid. He has an imaginary 1,500-pound polar bear that follows him around as he's trying to solve his cases on a Segway, rolling around the neighborhood until his Segway gets stolen, and he has to solve that mystery a little bit. So really quirky movie, but endlessly cute, really cute, just really smartly done. Not your usual cliched kids movie where it's like there's a musical break or something more to it. They don't really overplay the single mom thing. They don't overplay the quirky kid thing. It's just I don't know, just imaginative, smart, kind of interesting a little bit where the relationships between kind of diligence and responsibility that this kid has are there. I mean, you still get to this point where like the kid has the moment of like, hey, you can't imagine this stuff anymore. And that mom who's like, hey, you have to be responsible and grow up a little bit. And when he tries to kind of run the straight and narrow, it doesn't work for him. And he kind of has to stay being Timmy Failure. So it's he's kind of that guy who says, normal is for normal people. So one of those, I don't know, wiser than his years kid kind of characters, but it is really cute, sharply done, not a speck out of the way in terms of Tom McCarthy directing and all that. So and yeah, you see from the director of Spotlight and you're waiting to cry over Catholicism, and instead you get this really just warm and interesting little Disney little mystery thing. I'm gonna follow that up tonight, I think, if I have time. I caught up because all of us have extra time to kind of do other things. So I've been reading a lot of books. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks over the months here a little bit, and obviously more time now. So I've been I saw that Disney Plus had a Stargirl movie, and it's based on like a Jerry Spinelli book of like this quirky teen girl that is like very. It's the issue or the message there is kind of non-conformity. So and it's kind of, I guess, a little semi-musical and things like that. It just dropped on Disney Plus last Friday. I finished reading the book, or listening to the book, I should say, yesterday. So I'm going to give that movie a spin tonight or tomorrow. So I've been going high and low in Disney Plus. That's kind of my avenue wheelhouse where you guys are, screwing pigs over there. Jeez. Man.
We're watching content about people screwing pigs. There's a difference.
Check.
There you go.
Earmuffs, Obi-Wan.
I'm glad you got more confidence in Disney Plus than I do. I left that up to my girls, and
yeah,
Frozen 1 and 2 are just on repeat at this point. So that's our extent.
It's been fun digging into their original content, not just old stuff because you find old favorites, but I haven't been disappointed by a new one yet. I liked The New Lady and the Tramp. I thought it was sweet and easy and right where it needed to be without overdoing it like some of these other reimaginings have been. And yeah, Timmy Failure was solid. I'm looking forward to Stargirl. I've been meaning to watch the Willem Dafoe, Togo? I think, have you seen it since Call of the Wild, Ian? I know you've been circling a little bit.
I saw it before Call of the Wild. Fowley and I actually did an episode on it, and, I don't know. It's all right, but it's just not that exciting. And I think the over reliance on CGI kind of action just yeah. I think I liked it better than Call of the Wild, but that's just because Call of the Wild was so different from the book that I just couldn't get on board with it at all.
Yeah. What have you been watching, Ian? What's your deep rabbit hole?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I'd rather just stick to like streaming movies.
Oh
But
boy, there's a lot of toilet paper down there, man.
yikes. The Kleenex is around back. But no, I have not had a whole lot of time to. I've been watching mostly movies for other shows and things. But in terms of streaming, I didn't even know there was a new Mark Wahlberg thing on Netflix until I think it was last week. Maybe a conversation I had with one of you guys or with David. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird that it's coming to Netflix, especially because it was directed by Peter Berg, who has done a bunch of movies with Wahlberg recently. They did the Boston Marathon one. They did the one Deepwater Horizon, both of which I thought were really effective, cool, dramatic action movies. So I'm like, all right, I'm in. Because as much as Peter Berg is sort of like Michael Bay's stepbrother in terms of the explosions and the patriotism and all this other gaudy stuff, I think that he is a pretty sharp director. But I was really disappointed at first in Spencer Confidential because it's almost 2 hours long, and that first 45 minutes it feels like they're literally treading water. Like, I don't know how to Netflix kind of a thing. Because it just goes nowhere. But then there's these little bursts of action or montage. It's basically I was going to say a big screen remake, but it's not. It's for Netflix, but it's a Netflix movie remake of an 80s TV show with Robert Urich and Avery Brooks.
And I had no idea about that. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yes, but yeah, Spencer for Hire, good stuff.
Yeah, Spencer for Hire.
Wait, is that what that was? I remember Spencer for Hire.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, they're not even like really advertising that it's an update of that because
I wish they would have.
Yeah,
I know.
And it wasn't until I looked it up because the spelling of Spencer is kind of weird with an S instead of a C, and I looked it up on IMDb. I'm like, wait, there's a character named Hawk who's the partner. Oh my God, it's the new adaptation. And it makes sense because the film feels at times just like an R-rated TV movie. It doesn't quite feel like, oh, this could have been in the movie theaters because it's just off enough where it doesn't quite work. And especially at the end where, the good guys win, surprise, surprise, against this big cop conspiracy. Mm-hmm. At the end, they're all in a diner celebrating and someone has the news on and there's this firefighter fire captain who's being arrested, and Spencer's like, I went to high school with that guy. There's no way he committed those crimes. And it's like, okay, here's movie number 2. And as lame as that was, I was thinking, I don't want to see this as a series of movies, but if somehow Mark Wahlberg and Winston Duke committed to an hour-long weekly or like bingeable Netflix series of these characters, I would totally watch it.
Okay. Feels like a stretch for me.
Yeah.
It was already kind of a stretch in the film itself. Like,
sure.
You easily could have shaved like 20 minutes off of this movie.
I'd go an hour. I'd say you can shave an hour off of this movie.
You know what?
Not a good side, fellas.
Honestly, you could have. I mean, like, it was kind of predictable. It was basic. It was still entertaining enough. And I'm like, thank goodness this came on Netflix. Because if it had came in the big theater and I had to pay $5-10 or whatever to go see it, no. So it's low expectations, easy watch. You can even play it in the background, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it really picks up. Don, did you watch it?
I have not. Okay. I'm a Mark Wahlberg hater, so.
A hater.
Hey, Don.
He is the same character every movie. He is Mark Wahlberg.
Don, you've seen this movie.
Of course I have. Come on.
You've seen it. It's all right. Yeah. It's all right. You've seen it. There's nothing.
Say hi to your mother for me.
He saw it. Oh.
It's the Andy Samberg skit over and over again in real life. Say hi to your mother for me. Just all that Boston. Nah.
I will.
Winston Duke. That would be the one reason I would drop $2 of rent. No, not just a Netflix watch to see it. So.
And honestly, I've liked Winston Duke, of course, in Black Panther and especially in Us. I was really kind of underwhelmed by him for most of this movie, because I feel like the film didn't quite know what to do with him until that last act when he becomes the muscle. And when he becomes the muscle, that fight scene in the kitchen was amazing. He's literally like slamming people through like porcelain walls and pipes and stuff. It was all that buildup was totally worth it, I think. I'm going to disagree a little bit, Don. Yeah, he's the same Mark Wahlberg in every movie, but not every movie treats him the same. There are a couple of different modes of Wahlberg, and I would recommend I would recommend checking out, honestly, I remember Deepwater Horizon because that's the name of the movie, as well as the oil platform. But then there's the Boston Marathon bombing one.
Patriot Day,
those are straight up, those are dramas, right? And it's not like
sucked.
What you've seen both of them. Okay, you thought he sucked?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I think that might be some Wahlberg prejudice working in there, because I thought he was pretty good in the movie.
No, here's my problem. Here's my problem with Patriots Day is you have this.
Day, that's one.
Patriots Day. You have this extremely compelling true story, and of course, you want Mark Wahlberg involved because it's Boston, and he's going to sell tickets and things like that. But to make him and I know, right? There's enough history from that day that you don't need the be everywhere composite character. And Wahlberg just is so conveniently there for every single possible plot point in the whole wide world over the course of 48 hours of that history. When they did such a very good job of planting different people in different places. You have the kids on the college campus, you have the people at the finish line, you have the people at the headquarters. Rather than have Wahlberg be Superman all the way across all of Boston, going to every single thing, saving the day, at the scene, catching the dude. No. Have Wahlberg be one integral part in the one place where he's at the finish line, and leave Wahlberg alone the rest of the movie. Let other characters and let other pieces of that history shine. For me, the most compelling part of that movie that actually felt good and real was the prologue credits with the actual people. Show me the documentary version of that movie, not the Superman Wahlberg version of that movie. That movie, horrible.
You know where that actually worked though? Like what you're talking about, Don?
Like a
that
composite.
Well, yeah, having him be the everyman and every scene and all that worked best for him and Berg in Lone Survivor, because the story was about that one guy and his whole situation.
See, I hated Lone Survivor.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I was Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I was bored by it. I think.
Don't make me let my hair down, guys. Come on.
No. Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. What is under that thing anyway?
Good.
But no, I think as far as Patriots Day, I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like still, I think there's some Wahlberg prejudice there, because what you've described, there are other movies where they have a single actor who is doing what you're describing, the composite character thing.
You can't name me a movie in the last 10 years where he has any range beyond being Mark Wahlberg. Don't give me pain and glory. Ted, he's Mark. That's exactly Mark Wahlberg.
But he's not. But he's there.
Don't give me all the money in the world.
Wahlberg. I'm telling you, there's.
No.
I'm
saying
there's stock Wahlberg per genre.
Is there a big difference between Mark Wahlberg Ted and Mark Wahlberg Nice Guys?
No.
But that's comedy Mark Wahlberg, right?
Stop.
Date
Night. Well, that might have been 12 years ago. I don't know.
Then he's sexy Adams Wahlberg.
This is not a hill I would advise dying on. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm just saying. I know. Die on this.
Especially because it's the correct opinion. Now, no.
It's your show. It's fine.
It is your show.
Man, don't play the "it's your show" card. That's the patting me on the head instead of going, "Oh, bless your heart." No, I will not stand for it. Not in these trying times.
No, I mean, I would give Mark Wahlberg this. The guy is employed, finds a way to sell tickets, and stays employed. But he gets to be he is the ball hog. He muscles in. He's every time.
If we're gonna stay current, I'd say that Mark Wahlberg is very similar, not the same, but he's similar to what Vin Diesel used to kind of sort of be. Like he could in the right movie with the right director and the right non-Bostonian script, do something decent, but he's gotten comfortable. So,
but he wouldn't do a non-Boston script at this point.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, he's not going to do a non-action film without a tank top on. So that's what I'm saying. These guys get real comfortable, and and that's the crazy thing. Like Vin Diesel used to be a really potentially just his future was so bright.
Right.
as an
Boiler
actor
Room.
with his
What's the
brain.
Sidney Lumet
Saving
one where
Private Ryan,
find me
just
guilty with Sidney
yeah,
Lumet?
like
Yeah, little
this guy
stuff. Yeah.
really could have been something. And I could think an early Mark Wahlberg might have
Right.
had that
You
opportunity
got
too,
Fear,
but
Boogie Nights. You know what
right,
happened to Mark
right.
Wahlberg?
Those were different Mark Wahlbergs,
I agree.
like completely different. But now
Mhm.
he's gotten comfortable. He's like, hey, I'm the
He will grow
Boston
up and
guy.
be Liam Neeson.
Maybe look.
Close.
It might
Will. That's all
it
he's
might
gonna
be
have
that
in
I
10 years.
also have an affinity for Tom Cruise. So maybe this
Hey.
I'm just into actors who have a brand and they stick to what they know.
Right, but I
Um,
mean, but
Still
even
got some
Tom
brains,
has shown
though.
us enough, though. You know.
Tom doesn't have to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah.
You got
he kind of does because when
go ahead.
no, when Tom Cruise has range, he lets the entire world know that he has range. Like even
That's not a bad thing.
No, but even in
That's the point,
Magnolia,
right?
when he's sitting there
Thank you.
crying at the bed of Jason Robards, he's like, "I'm going for this Oscar."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
You should have.
I don't know if I
try. Let him live.
Yeah.
Hey, look, let Mark Wahlberg try. Let him
He
live.
doesn't want to.
That's
He doesn't want to.
That's the whole point.
This
That's
is
why we're
why
here.
he keeps on buddying up with Peter
Yeah.
Berg. He doesn't want to do nothing. He's fine.
So you're
Comfortable.
saying
Liam
he's
Neeson.
still a bubbling cauldron of potential. We just haven't realized it yet.
I think he's.
I think that bubble
I think
cauldron
that's
has
ship
become
sailed.
lukewarm, and it is cooling rapidly.
Right. I don't think he's got anything left.
Another
he
couple
hasn't shown it.
movies.
Nothing left. He's like 45 years old. He's got
Like I
at
told
least
you,
half a
That's like
life
Liam
of.
Neeson.
60
He
in
is
Hollywood
Liam Neeson.
now.
He is
45
Charles
is the
Bronson.
new 60.
Unless you're Liam Neeson or
He is
Harrison.
Charles Bronson.
No.
He is, worse. He would be Bruce Willis doing direct-to-DVD shit in 10 years.
Wow.
Say that. I would. Well, 10 years.
He's already on Netflix making crappy movies with Winston Duke. Come on.
10 years. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, given the current state of quote unquote cinema, they might have gotten onto that train early, or right at the right time. Because if this were a theatrical release coming out in March, I don't think it'd be coming out in March.
Oh, I sure would. This had Spencer Confidential looked like it had January written all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because it's Netflix, it's kind of perennial. I mean, here's a question.
Right.
Like,
That's the fun part about Netflix, for sure.
Yeah.
let's take the COVID-19 paradigm out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Have we seen, and I'm not as steeped in like the streaming kind of culture as you guys are, but January is like the dead month for theatrical releases, as is kind of like, August, they say, because it's kind of coming down from the summer and ramping up, not quite to the award season. Is there any kind of seasonal shift you see with streaming content, or is it just like, there's a billion things out there, so even if something is crappy, it's alongside 1,000 other crappy things, which is alongside 100,000 awesome things?
I defer to you on this one, Eman.
Yeah, I don't think there's been enough content for there to be a pattern yet.
Okay.
Just because, Adam Sandler kind of started that whole shift of, wait, we're paying big money to big actors for big movies. And then, of course, Netflix started pioneering, I would say, the larger investment in bigger budget movies. Some hits, some not, some surprises. Right. Bird Box would be a surprise, for example. And I think that, there isn't a season, there's no seasonal factor to it. It's really a question of, do you have a big enough name, and is it going to have big enough word of mouth traction to make it viable? Because if no one's talking about it, it will die and just kind of sink in the big flow of content in Netflix, especially. I mean, think about this. Even the Tyler Perry movie, no one cared about it until people started making fun of it. And when they started making fun of it, people needed to go see what's so funny about it. And all of a sudden, this movie is starting to rank in Netflix ranks, not because of its quality, but because of the word of mouth. And then on the flip side, like I mentioned with Bird Box, because people started talking about it, apparently they hadn't seen A Quiet Place at that time, but that started a lot of word of mouth, and it ranked up, and it was an all right movie.
Yeah.
And now you start to see something else happen with Netflix, especially now they're showing you what's ranking. They're trying to bolster the algorithm shift in a sense. So now, even if you weren't compelled to watch a certain film, you're like, wait, this is top 10 in the world. I guess I need to give this a shot. So The entire medium is shifting and changing, where I don't think it has very many parallels or comparisons to the movie theaters, because the theaters have had such a long, history and pattern of how they do things, especially with marketing and pricing and all that. Netflix now and other streaming platforms, they require other things, so it's kind of different.
I think the one season that will remain on streaming because of the way we're all still pitched to do it is award season. I think you'll still see November when, The Irishman shows up and Marriage Story shows up, and those things will be saved for prestige spots. But no, I'm with Eman. I think it's a roulette wheel of topicality that they're trying to spin, and like what will hit this month? What are people in the mood for? Because you're right. I think Bird Box can thank A Quiet Place for getting any of their buzz up. And if Bird Box comes out before A Quiet Place, it fades, or it has to be oh wait, this reminds me of that one thing I watched drunk on Saturday night before A Quiet Place. If Bird Box had come first, so I think they're just trying to throw everything to the wall and see what sticks. And you're right, by putting the top 10 there, I think they're trying to force and fuel their own buzz a little, or at least try and hope and advertise. Hey, look, there's this, because all we're hearing right now is what Outbreak is streaming on. What is it, Hulu or Netflix right now? Because look where we're at. So yeah, I mean, it's fickle what people will find and champion, but when they find it, boy, they pile on it. And all it takes for Netflix to feel good about themselves is when one thing gets piled on enough to keep them in the news. So,
Yep.
yeah,
And that's all they want. They just want to
no,
stay relevant because,
yep,
look, I still have things in my Netflix queue from 2010. So there's a lot
damn,
of content on there that revolves, of course. But yeah, as long as they have something that can be talked about, that's all they
hmm
need. They don't have to put that much more effort into marketing and trailers and stuff like that,
right.
compared to, bigger name films.
Ian, are you thinking
So
of this Dan Geyer chat we had on Facebook the other day, where like the future of the business kind of stuff?
yeah, I mean, and this is what I wanted to kind of pose to you guys, picking up on that. Eman, I don't know if you saw any of that, but there
Uh,
was a kind of a Facebook thread that I think Jeff Burton started that.
Jeff Burton started
Kind of,
this one. Yep.
yeah, looped Don and me and Dan Geyer into it. We're talking about, with movie theaters kind of closing down, what's
mhm,
the future of movies kind of looking like? And
mhm,
we got into a jag about like the drive-in, could that make a comeback?
Mhm.
And, what are some of the ideas that are going to, once we come out the other side of that, whether it's a month or 3 months or 18 months
Right.
for things to recover, not just from the bug, but from, the economy, like correcting
Mhm.
itself, what are we going to look like? And I'm just
Yeah,
wondering seriously,
like
we're
this.
talking about streaming. Everybody's talking about, nice. Everybody's talking about, Netflix and streaming services and killing time during this, pandemic. Is there going to be a place for movie theaters and the movie going experience? Are we going to be so conditioned? Say everybody's locked inside for 2 months,
hmm
as a matter of course. Are they going to go from, oh, I pay $8 a month for one streaming service? I know some people pay like $20 for like 3 services or whatever,
Sure.
but are they going to really go from that to, okay, now I got to leave my house and pay $10 for my ticket, another 10 for my spouse, plus concessions, all this other stuff, so I can watch something that's going to be on one of these streaming services in less than 2 months anyway?
Right.
Do the movie theaters, they stand a chance?
yes,
I
Do you
think
think so?
the number one, I
absolutely.
think, yeah,
Okay.
I think the movie theater experience is still the best for the big stuff. I think the big things will always stay big, and there'll always be a market for that, because who would rather watch Infinity War sitting in their couch for that level of stuff
Or on your
versus,
phone.
on your phone? Like, don't get me wrong, for the little stuff we're talking about, me talking about Disney Plus, E-Man talking about Black
Sure.
Mirror, at home is perfect for stuff like that. But
Yeah.
for the really big stuff, I think there'll always be a market for the big screen. But what will keep people from even wondering if they'll wait, they'll drop the dime to go to the big screen, is that closing window. If things are all of a sudden are shortening as short as they're looking between theatrical release to home media, if that window starts closing smaller than it already is, I think there's enough people who are patient and enough home theater capability where you got a nice big fat screen at home. These people with 65-inch TVs, and I got a 1080p projector over here in the room where it's not fancy, but I got a 100-inch television on my wall to, projection style, but it works. Like I can watch Infinity War or 1917 and feel like I'm watching a good experience. Now I can't kick it like, like a Dolby Atmos theater, but are there certain things where I could be patient enough to go, you know what? It's just going to be on streaming in 2 months when that used to be 6 to 8 or 12 months before something would hit DVD at home. Then yeah, it was the fear of missing out. I got to go see it on the big screen. Now, not so much. I think it'll shrink. I think it's the business for the big screen will shrink to a degree where it'll just be the big boys. I don't think there's a reason why movies like Marriage Story are just staying on Netflix and dropping in a few theaters to qualify because you don't need the big screen to watch Adam Driver cry. But you want the big screen to watch Adam Driver fight, Daisy Ridley. So,
No,
yeah.
no, I disagree with that, but that's just because
Well,
you brought Star Wars into the conversation.
well, where's my guy here?
All right.
Jump in here, man.
I've had this issue. I've had this issue long before when the great Steven Spielberg was criticizing, Netflix and all that other stuff. So first of all, the whole window closing thing, I disagree with that. But I think part of the reason why I disagree is because I think studios are strategic in what they're going to release. Bloodshot, the movie wasn't all that great. They're going to drop that on VOD to get whatever money they can. If you have a Marriage Story, something that's low budget, yeah, you can drop it because you can afford that. Something like Black Widow, you're not dropping that on Disney Plus because it costs you $175 million, not including the marketing and stuff. You're not making that up as a company on your platform. So what you will do, though, is push it and delay it. So the whole closing window thing, I think studios will just become a little bit more strategic and be like, you know what? If we really need to get, some eyeballs on things, let's put the lower budget stuff, on these content platforms, because Netflix will probably pay a Warner Brothers or Disney or whoever a ton of money to make up so they can still make a profit. Because those movies might die in the theaters anyway when a Fast and the Furious or Avengers or whatever comes out. So that is where I think some of the shift will happen. The other thing is, we might have bigger screen TVs and stuff like, I literally just bought one and it took me 12 years to get to that point. And it was only because my older TV died. So I was kind of forced into it. But the average person to this day still does not have HD, let alone a 1080p or 4K or even 6 or 8K nowadays. And I'm definitely not at that point. But I've always been of the mindset of like, if you can't recreate that exact or very close to theater experience at home, you will always be tempted to be like, you know what? Let's go out. And that's the other part that keeps me under the impression that theaters are not going to go anywhere, because I equate it to fine dining or eating at restaurants. You can cook at home. You can eat at home. You can do a lot of things at home, but you still go out on a date. You still go out to that nice restaurant and have them cook for you, and you pay way more for it. So if you're going to be willing to do that with food, what's the difference with movies?
Very good analogy.
And but this is kind of what I'm getting at, not just in terms of the sort of the old way of looking at the movies as a business model, but one of the things, and we're seeing it right now with the whole idea of social distancing being this phrase that's in our heads, depending on how long we're all locked inside. And, we had Mayor Lightfoot talking about, at a press conference today, if you've got the sniffles, stay home. If you leave the house and you've got a cold and we catch you, there's going to be consequences. It's not exactly a mandated lockdown for everybody, like we've seen in New Jersey and some other places. But this idea of this kind of a psychic lightning bolt, where AMC tried to do a bit of a correction last week by announcing that they're going to be cutting in half the number of people they allow into an auditorium at a time, but that still doesn't meet the requirements of like 3 to 6 feet, right? You'd have to have a few chairs between people. So I'm just wondering if the audiences are sufficiently spooked. I mean, you're always going to get the spring breaker types who are out there on the beach right now saying, I don't care about this virus,
Yeah.
cough, cough. But I just wonder if the theater experience is the same. Will it be, are we going to see remodeled theaters with greater distance? Or are we going to see, is it going to be kind of like Broadway, where the big Marvel tent movie is going to be $40 a ticket to go and have this experience, because not everybody is going to be shelling out the movie to go out to the movies? Is this an art form that is not dying, but it's sort of being phased out because of the convenience of what people have at home, mixed with this new social anxiety we have?
So I kind of wanted to ping this off of Don, as being an educator. I remember when I was younger and it was terrible weather outside, raining, snowing, whatever, and we had indoor recess. And when we were doing indoor recess, we played Heads Up, 7 Up, we watched TV or whatever. Yeah. But the day that we were able to go out and the sun was out, we didn't care. We were like, move out our way. We are coming out. And I think it'll be a very similar experience. I think people are breaking after 3-4 days of being at home with their families. If you get the okay, let's just say the government's like, you know what? It's okay. Social distancing. We don't have to do it. We're as safe as possible or whatever. Mm-hmm. Let's just say they get that green light. People are about to rush out because they're going to want to go back to what's been familiar. This is not familiar. This is not normal. In my 30 plus years of life, I've never had to be social quarantine, distance, or whatever. So I'm going to go back to what I used to know, which is, because look, if there's a screening, are either of you guys not going?
Well, that all depends, because, honestly, I understand what you're saying. And this is sort of that psychic lightning bolt that I'm talking about, because a month ago, a handful of people had this possibility on their radar. A week ago, people were like, oh, well, maybe people are going to have to start staying home from work. And, a week later, it's like most people are working from home. Kids are out of school. Yeah. It's something that people are still having to get used to. It's almost like the bug version of 9/11, right? Yeah. So the thing is, much like travel and communication and government intervention in our lives was never the same after 9/11, where I'd love to go back to the days, to 1999, where everything was freewheeling and privacy, and you can make jokes about guns, or maybe not 99 because that was Columbine, but there may be a new normal that we're just going to have to get used to, that we can make as close to the old way of doing things, but we might not be able to go out and just be freewheeling. Hey, let's hug and go out for dinner and eats unless everybody gets vaccinated. I think
that all depends on information. And time too, but think about it like this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're right. If this is 2 months, this is a blip in the radar. If this is 18, that's I don't want to say generational change, but that's strong enough to change habits, warp a few minds, put some willies into some people in terms of anxiety, or build some of that up. That's a lot of cabin fever. Where, don't get me wrong, people will go out even after 18 months, but if we have created a cautious section of society, or a bunch of cautious new habits, or, I hate to say it, if we lose thousands or millions of people in this, and it's just not all that, people start asking, well, what's it all worth? Or put things in perspective kinds of conversations people are going to have about the simple things. There'll still be a rush out. There'll still be a nice little welcoming back to the things we enjoyed, but it'll still be, I think your 9/11 analogy is possible, because we're still, we still look twice when we see a weird thing in an airport, or say something you see as suspicious. We're still taking our shoes off for pre-flight checks. I think enough weird habits are going to change, or could change, if this goes on long enough, that I was saying in our Dan Geyer thread, I said, watch this be like all the theaters have the recliners, because at least that's 2.5 feet instead of the narrow stadium seating where we're all kicking each other's, backs of each other's heads and sharing popcorn kernels and all that. So I think enough weird things will change. It all depends on time. Time is my quotient here that you're going off of here.
So I want to piggyback off of Ian's point with the 9/11 analogy because I like that one. I think that was, that was definitely traumatizing to the
Yeah.
entire country, right? And it changed how we travel.
Yeah.
But there were some things that happened. We didn't start traveling less. People
No.
still started to travel, but one thing that changed was like how we traveled. So TSA became way more important, right? And obviously all these different things started happening. So what I could envision is something like, no, theaters aren't about to invest billions of dollars to change all the seats and stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are more hand sanitizers, made available within the theaters. You know what I'm saying? Or like just different things
Cleaning
like that. I would
procedures. Sure.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if like different behavioral things and procedures and policies were enacted because and this kind of goes down to like why are we so mixed in terms of how we're approaching these situations today? It's because of how the information has come out. One day it's this, another day it's that. And it's like unless you've followed everything obsessively, and pieced and chained everything together, you might be at the point where you are still operating on the mindset of it's not that bad. Or maybe you are just tuning in like, wait, lockdown? Oh, this is real,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it depends on where you got into this. But what that kind of tells me is that when all of this is done, right? And thankfully, at least some good news is coming out of Asia, which is they're finally at the point where they don't have to report any more cases or any new things. So there is potentially.
I don't know if that's exactly true because as we've seen the entire world, the cases keep going up.
Right.
Suspiciously, the country where all of this started, remember, I think it was Jim Gaffigan like a month ago tweeted out a joke saying, it was like the Chinese government said, we've come up with a new way to combat the coronavirus. We're going to change the name or change the symptoms that we're looking for. So I'm not trying to get political here, but I'm just saying that I've heard those stories too, and I'm very suspicious.
No, and look, that's fine. All I'm saying is that, there's a possibility that we can obviously come out of this okay.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think what is going to determine how we react and behave after is going to be dependent on the information and how it's delivered to us. If we're told that, hey, there are new policies in theaters that do hand washing or more antibacterial, whatever, same way like in airports where we started getting information that, more security procedures were being taken to offset that level of fear, then I think we can be a little bit more inclined to go back to normal, even if it's a new normal.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to piggyback on something that you said, Eman, because I think it's a really cool idea. And, Don, this is kind of something you said too. The reclining seats to create more distance. I mean, that's something that's kind of come in vogue in the last few years. Some of those recliners are ultra fancy, where they've got like not only the cup holder, but they've got a little charging port for your phone. What if
do you want the hand sanitizer?
I want a little hand sanitizer station in them.
Sure. Yeah.
You could, just buy stock in Purell or start your own independent, like AMC hand sanitizer company. You'd make a mint in the first month alone.
I mean, you have to think. Well, as the school teacher here, you know some of that's coming. We're going to have a little mini bubble of kids that will go through this between now and let's just say they close school, period, for the year, because they're gonna. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
They're going to kick this. Yeah, we're at April 20th now. It was March 31st a week ago, 3 days ago. It'll be June in a hurry. So, no, I think you're going to have this bubble of kids who are just, those interesting little STEM kids that we've all brought up as teachers who are going to be coming up with weird little solutions and problems because this is the buzz of their world where Mommy, what do we mean we have to wash our hands? Well, I came up with a better way of washing my hands, and watch all of a sudden there'd be some millionaire YouTube kid who comes up with like the better sanitized version of synthetic leather to put on all those seats, or the microban, this and that. Like the innovation you would hope that comes from this, either on a corporate level or an individual level, or even on a community level, you would hope can make a new normal to go where you want to go.
Look at grocery stores, and this is before Corona and all that stuff. Grocery stores started having hand sanitizer wipes for the carts.
Yeah.
That's new. That's still new. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the theaters have something like, hey, grab a wipe. You can wipe your seat down if you like.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't see why not. You know,
Maybe.
and I hope, and I'm rooting for all
I'd
of
be
these
okay with
pieces
it.
for new normals. Yeah, because we've been slipping for a while, and even to mix out of movies to the teaching stuff like this e-learning. I think all you parents at home are realizing just how much like we're probably doing a pretty decent job where we are working. Where let's not have this be at home all the time. So,
Yeah.
you know, if new normals are just more mindfulness of not just the cleanliness, but distilling information, all the things we're running into with the roller coaster that is this experience.
Yeah, and guys, you make some great points, and I'm on board with all of it. I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not saying that I really want movie theaters to go away. This is more of a sort of a panic, like,
Yeah,
God,
sure.
I hope this doesn't lead to the demise of movie theaters. Because, yeah, not every movie
Nah.
is a theatrical experience, aside
Right.
from maybe Butt Boy, which you shared with
show.
us this morning. Yeah, no.
Okay.
But there are. It's not only just certain movies need to be seen on the big screen or the really big screen. It is also that communal experience. I mean, I love hanging out with you guys afterwards and talking about movies, especially like when we can do it in person.
Yeah.
There is something about going out, and you guys are absolutely right. I'm fearful that this society of convenience that we've gotten used to, and now it's almost like being forced upon us to stay home and just consume content that's basically free because you get thousands of hours worth of stuff for like $8 a month.
Yeah.
Could that change attitudes coming out of it, especially economically? If you're talking about, people, Marriott, I think, laid off 10,000 employees this week.
Yeah.
So maybe the economy comes back and those folks all get their jobs back. But I can just see people being very tight with their money coming out of this and be like, movies? What?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going out.
Shave off Disney Plus, shave off Netflix.
Hey, after
that
this,
some of those.
After this stimulus package, I don't know. People might be like, "Hey, I got a little extra bread."
The stimulus, that I will not turn that money away. But also, what does that mean for the future? Because we're essentially borrowing from ourselves. It's it's a federal credit card, and on top of that,
well, most people put it back.
You're talking about putting it in Netflix.
I'm just saying, like most times, there's a stimulus and people get money. They put it back. They go spend it. So
but that's the other weird thing is like they're getting all this money, but they can't really go out and spend. I mean, I guess it'll be a boom for online businesses.
Right. Well,
but if you can bolster savings and pay some bills for folks, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I got a question for the dais here, and to kind of segue as to where this is going. What are you guys looking forward to? Like, if we truly are home for a few months, what do you want to discover more, or what's on your man? I've never seen this. Like I feel like all the people around us are doing the blind spots and the to-do lists of all the things we've been meaning to watch because we're not going to work, you guys. 2-3 nights a week at AMC downtown. So, what's your to-do list? I know you got a queue from 2010, Eman, but what are some things you're actually looking forward to digesting, I guess, in the next couple months?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I don't really have an answer to that because I'm still. Shock is a bad word, but I feel like I'm still preparing. I'm still trying to get used to, working from home because as much as it sounds kind of like the dream, like, oh my God, I don't have to go anywhere. That would be the dream if the kids were still in school.
I hear you,
because
man.
I'm in my downstairs office working on work stuff. They still expect 8 hours of productivity, but also my wife is upstairs with a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old. Trying to wrangle that. So I'm constantly going up and downstairs. I'm doing chores, checking emails, also trying to get movie stuff done. It's bonkers. So I don't know how much time I'll actually have to absorb, new stuff because at the end of all of it, it's like my wife and I just collapse into bed and watch, whatever trash is on MTV or whatever.
Right.
That's so we'll see.
What about you, man?
Oh my gosh, I'm right there with Ian because like I've been wishing to have my more work at home because I only have one day that I'm allowed to work at home, but that's usually with no one here, and it's lovely. Save on gas. I don't have to go out to eat. Beautiful. But now, it's daddy. Like right before this pod, I was cooking dinner, so it's kind of like okay, there's that. But I was just telling my wife how like this would have been, if I didn't have to work and do other content, I would be playing video games. Because I have
Yeah.
video games I haven't played in like 7 years, still in the wrapping. So I'd love to be able to go do that.
Right.
But then I'm sitting here like, I wouldn't have my work done, and or I wouldn't be able to come up with ideas for content. So,
Right.
you know, for my channel and stuff. So like just right now, you know, which brought so much joy to my little critic heart. My wife and daughter are going through the MCU, and I'm just like, you know
I
what?
see that.
Now I'm about to go check this out because I've had some interesting ideas to do, but it would require a rewatch. And
There then.
you know, so I've got a couple ideas and a couple things for content that I definitely want to do. So that's at this point, that's what I'm doing. I don't have the luxury and time to invest myself the way I'd like to if I wasn't
Yeah.
also a creator. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd love to go back and finish Westworld, but I need to devote my entire brain to consume that. There was some other shows. I want to start some new things like Lock and Key. I keep hearing about it. Whatever. I'll see what it's about. Altered Carbon. You know, but those are things I got to sprinkle in between, trying to come up with content, produce it, then work at home and see what happens from there.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's just I've always enjoyed these. Like, I know I don't think Butt Boys at the top of the list, but I do like this second tier of little VOD, little indie movies that come our way through little independent PR companies. Like, I've always enjoyed championing those movies because they're a lot of times they're buried treasure, a lot of times they're buried crap too, but they're just something different and they're interesting. And I tend to get pretty decent traffic from those because not very many people cover them. So when the studios and PR people realize, hey, people are watching this movie and I got a pretty favorable review from this guy who's on Rotten Tomatoes, like that's not a bad, I get good traffic from that. So it's been fun to kind of have those guys be the B team all of a sudden have to become the starters. I feel like we're watching replacement strike players in the NFL where the newest content out there is Butt Boy, is Stargirl, is Run This Town. There's all these little VOD offerings of this and that, and it might be crap, but it's new, it's interesting, and people will find it. So
and more studios,
that's what I'm looking forward to digging into.
And more studios are jumping on board with this too,
I think they have to.
Which is another interesting thing, which is, they might not just be like, hey, here's our movie for free on Netflix. It's kind of like, all right, we'll release it early, but you still got to pay.
Yeah. And that price point's a little much at the moment here.
And that's kind of the question where I'm kind of like, all right, how much is it really worth paying at home for certain things versus, just because it's the hottest, newest thing.
Yeah.
So let's say Black Widow, big budget movie. All right. If that drops on Disney Plus and Disney Plus is like, hey, you got to pay a little extra. I'm not paying $15 for that. I mean, I will because I have to. But I'm just saying, if I was an E-man, I wouldn't want to pay. I'd wait. I'd be like, no, like,
well,
I'm not paying pay-per-view
in 2
type
months
of charges until I could get it for free.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I mean, yeah, there is something to that, but it's like, is Black Widow at that point gonna come out in the theater? Or would it just be the Disney Plus? That's it. They still have to work out the logistics, like how do they prevent piracy?
Yeah.
Is it like a theatrical experience where you buy your virtual ticket and you can literally watch it once? Can you pause it? Is it like a 24-hour window where you can watch as many times as you want? But the other thing, I mean, if it's $15 or even $20 for a family movie, that's still kind of a deal because you're talking about you're saving like half price. I don't know if you're taking your kids to see Black Widow, but it's still kind of a good deal. So I'm not opposed to it. It would be a very odd place to be because I'd watch Black Widow partially because I want to talk about it with you guys, but also, it's the new movie and I don't necessarily care if I see it on the big screen.
Yeah,
because that's probably a bad example anyway. I mean, maybe Tenet or Avatar 2. Let's say Avatar 2. Something that Tenet with Nolan, he's going to go all out with his visuals, or Avatar 2, that's meant to be a experience above everything else. Are you paying are you basically paying the same amount of money that you would at the theaters to watch it at home? Personally, I would want to pay $5, no more, no less.
I agree.
For something that early, that soon, in the comfort of my own home. Right.
Yeah, well, two things. One, in the case of Avatar, because that's further out in the year, so there's still a
Yeah,
chance
yeah,
that that thing opens theatrically.
sure,
Maybe depending
sure.
on the landscape. But also in the case of that, God, I might be tempted to wait just because I don't want to pay $20 for a movie that, if it does come out once the smoke clears, like say they release
Yeah.
Black Widow on Disney Plus, and then next year after everything's clear, they're like, if you want to see this in the theater because it really is a big screen experience, we're going to open it like with a regular release, and maybe people will come. I don't know, but I don't want to kind of double dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had another point. I completely lost it. It's
I
late.
wonder. I wonder if this will, not that we've had a lot of bombs, I guess we've had a few blockbuster bombs in the last calendar year where maybe all of this lack of potential of people actually coming to the theaters, which has been creeping into certain movies here and there where, don't get me wrong, the big stuff still scores. We see Disney making money hand over fist, but we see a lot of bombs in other places. I wonder if between this and the inability to work because of the gatherings of people, like they're, all the productions right now are halted, not just the releases. So I wonder if this will curb budgets and make more frugal theaters. Are we going to go back to the 40, $50 million, mid-budgeted programmers that we used to live off of in the 90s, like all those one, like The Fugitive was a $35 million movie. All you needed was one big star, a
Give me
capable
that.
director, and an easy idea, and 35 would score you 100, and you would feel like a genius at the box office in the marketing department. I wonder if there will be a market for budgets to go down because the risk of not people aren't either going to see it or we're not going to get our return on it. Can some of this market shrink?
No.
I don't know. Eman, you're
I
shaking
just
your head.
I was you got me excited because I personally think the 90s is like one of the best
Oh,
golden eras
I'm with
of
you.
like original films.
Hmm.
Bar
You
none.
know,
Yeah.
Or not.
that's just yeah. So, but the problem is the fact that we have become so, and I'm not trying to be political about it, but we've been so
Mhm.
endowed to China and foreign markets in terms of the Hollywood studios
Yeah,
that they're making these movies for those countries. Whereas,
true.
but so the question is kind of like, are you going to go smaller budget? Where's the money going to be made? Because, are we
Yeah,
assuming that people in China and other countries can go to theaters? Because if they can go to theaters again, you're not going to get those smaller budget movies.
right.
You're going to
Because the
keep on
whole
getting the sequels of a sequel of a remake of a
yeah,
remake of familiar titles to
that's what
them,
sells.
and that's what
Right.
sells, and that's what
Yeah.
makes movies. That's why we keep getting these reboots, because they
Right.
like Die Hard 15 or
Yeah.
whatever. You
And
know,
that end of the movie, and that end of this, and we've said it in ourselves, like that end of the industry has been too big. It's been too big to fail, and it's true.
right? Exactly.
Like those the things that are super huge don't lose because they're so big. Everyone wants to see. It's
Right.
rare that we get the. I'm trying to think of a bomb we had this past year. Like, what just lost a ton of
Cats.
money? Yeah,
Cats,
it's rare we get a
Charlie's
Cats.
Angels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie's Angels lost something this spring. I'm forgetting, but like those ones are so rare that they're recouped very quickly by something big
Right.
down the release line in these consolidated theaters that are, or I should say, distributors and studios that are doing fine. Like, okay, one blip here can be made up by one mega huge
Right.
hit there.
The bigger ones
Nothing, no
pay
one's
for those
sinking.
other ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, things are going to be very different. I think the era of the $20 million movie star was already starting to dwindle like an ever shrinking group.
yeah.
I think the studios are going to start cutting budgets. I think they're going to probably start with the talent. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know how any of this shakes out. I think this is going to be a nice little time capsule episode. So we're going
I
to look
agree.
back in 6 months and be like, that was cute. As we're watching it on our phones sitting in a crowded AMC.
Right.
This will
Or
be
we're
our
sitting in the middle of a
Y2K.
wasteland.
It'll be the Y2K,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. Like,
That'd
remember
be-
when we thought we were gonna die?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
man.
Nothing happens.
I hope not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for having this conversation. We may have a sequel to this depending on how things shake out
I'm down
and
for
what the
it.
news is. So, yeah, it's been very fun talking. We started talking about Netflix movies and we got into the entirety of the cinema landscape. So that's very exciting. So real quick, just give me some shout outs of where people can find you out on from YouTube land or podcast land or website land.
Sure, I'll go first. Don Shanahan, everymoviehasalesson.com. I'm starting to write as well, or I haven't been starting, it's been going for a while. You can find my work at 25 Years Later, 25 Years Later site.com, doing different retrospective pieces there, diving into a little bit more film topics than just current reviews. And you can search Every Movie Has a Lesson on any of your social media hubs and find me there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Eman.
You can find me on YouTube, Eman's Movie Reviews. That's Eman, just like He-Man without the H. Probably the best place to have some fun is on Facebook. And that is also Eman's Movie Reviews, where I'll share news and trailers and my reviews. And best of all, the movie memes that apparently are starting to get me in a lot of hot water.
What?
Given my last,
You're welcome.
that last Idris Elba meme was just bad.
That one's
And
a classic. That's
and people are not
time
letting
capsules.
it go because now it's almost at like 2 million views, and I'm like, stop watching this, leave it alone.
Jeez, I think I may have. Did I miss this one?
Oh my god!
You gotta see this one. It's worth it.
It's basically, I took a meme of Idris Elba during his Hot Ones appearance.
Hot Ones, yeah.
On a Hot Wings take.
Oh,
And
no.
it was right at the time when Tom Hanks had announced that he was positive for the coronavirus. And I put the two together. And this was before
Golden.
This was before Idris announced that he was there. So now people are like, you Simpsoned, Idris Elba. And I'm like, no, that was not the intent. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't want these powers. I didn't want them. So yeah.
Okay.
So, E-Man's Movie Reviews. Go check it out. Have fun.
All right. Cool. Thank you. And for everyone out there watching this conversation right now, this is the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel. I invite you to like and subscribe and share the content. Also, please follow my lovely guests. And keep loving and watching movies. Stay safe. Get out your prepper gear and your lovely nighttime wear and join us back here at some point in the future for more movie talk. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch you later. What is that? Oh, don't spray me! No! Ah!